Welcome back to Above the Table, your fairly new home for fantasy, science fiction, and TTRPG news. I'm one of our hosts, Hannah Atkins, and today I am joined by the talented Briana White, who plays Aerith in the revival, so to speak, of the Final Fantasy games. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
Of course, I am super excited as well. So 4 years have passed between the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake and the release of Rebirth earlier this year, having been in the role for at least half a decade now, right?
It sounds crazy when you put it that way.
I know, I was typing this question and I was like, ooh, it would be
but technically correct, yes.
Yeah. What has that 5-ish year journey of playing Aerith been like for you thus far?
Gosh, I mean, it's been an absolutely wild ride that's completely changed my life. I had never done any voiceover roles at all. You know, I love acting. I am an actor. I've done TV and film, but voice acting, nothing. And so being able to, gosh, even audition for the role of Aerith was incredibly exciting, but to actually get cast in it was a whole different experience. And but it's also really taught me a lot about myself, because the fact that I was kind of pushed into the deep end of the pool with no experience and just a lot of pressure because, you know, Aerith is a very legendary, iconic character. And it really taught me what I'm willing to do things well. And gave me a lot of internal resources and tools for me to be able to lean back on next time I feel out of my element. So from that aspect of it, it's been incredible. It's been amazing. Not easy by any means, but still really incredible and rewarding.
I think that leads into my next question perfectly, because she is obviously such an iconic video game character at this point. You can't think about Final Fantasy without thinking about Aerith. They're kind of just synonymous with one another. So of course there would be a lot of nerves coming into stepping into that role. How do you work through those nerves, that sort of uncertainty at the beginning?
I mean, because I had never done this before, I actually didn't have a really good grasp of how hard it would be. So my first session, I mean, I skipped into the room with a big smile on my face and I said, let's do this. You know, I was just so stoked to be there and be a part of the process. You know, I love games. So to be on the other side, actually making a game, was thrilling. It wasn't until we had recorded a few sessions and we were really kind of in the heart of Remake, I think particularly when we were recording scenes about Wall Market, I just had a really, really hard time getting very crisp, clean dialogue, because I didn't have the experience that a lot of voice actors have. So I didn't handle it super well. I wish I'd handled it a little bit better, but ultimately after sitting in my car crying about it, about feeling like I can't believe that, you know, this is so hard and maybe I just wasn't the right person for this role and I really don't know what I'm doing. I just told myself that you're not fired yet, so get over it and do what you can, do your best. And so I got coaches and, you know, enrolled myself in classes in the middle of recording Remake, and learned everything that I could. And I really leaned on, you know, the team, like the audio engineers and the writers and the director, to be able to guide me in order to give a good performance. So I would say, yeah, in order to kind of push through those nerves, it was a combination of seeking expert help and battling my own inner demons.
When you bring up the fact that you enrolled in classes and got coaches, would you say that changed your approach to portraying Aerith between Remake and Rebirth? And how so?
No, the the character by that point and the voice had already been pretty well solidified. We did some reshoots of certain scenes at the end of Remake, but for the most part, like the character and her voice were there. The things that I needed help with from the classes were really like very detailed technical things that just make the process a little bit easier on everyone and faster. So things like I have a knock sound when the back of my tongue separates from my soft palate when I say certain words. You can't hear that in day-to-day speech, but you can it picks up on the mic. And yeah, engineers can absolutely take those sounds out. But when engineers are super, busy and they have a lot of dialogue to get through, it's best if I can just do my best to give a clean line. So very, very like detailed technical things like that is what I worked on with the coaches. And part of that was just being able to like listen and repeat to my own lines and to see if I could hear it and identify it and figure out what words would tend to trigger that sort of thing. Things like, mouth smacking sounds and things to avoid like dairy or sugar the morning of. Those technical things were a real challenge to get up to speed with very quickly because most voice actors have some time and in between projects they can learn these things and I had to learn it on the go. But as far as like what changed between Remake and Rebirth, I mean, there was a whole nother game in there too.
Mhm.
So I also got to revisit Aerith for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, where she's a little softer and younger and a little bit more naive. And that was a really special challenge as well. So by the time I got to Rebirth, I really just got to have fun with it. I really got to discover my voice and bring my artistry to it and my creativity and embrace the freedom not only that Aerith is experienced but the whole party is experiencing for the first time. And I felt just like the characters in that, okay, the hard part is really over. Now let's go have some fun in Costa del Sol. It really mimicked their experience for me.
Definitely. When you talk about Aerith's personality, I think one of my favorite things about her is that she can be quite sassy.
Yes.
Working on this role as much of you as you have in the last few years, what would you say is a piece of her personality or story that you feel is often misunderstood by players?
I still have people come up to me sometimes at conventions and, say that Aerith is just a sweet, pure flower girl. But that's not the full picture. Is that part of her? Yes. But is that the full picture? No. She had a very tough childhood. She was hunted for who she is and the element in her blood that makes her special. And so, living part of her life in captivity, I mean, those things really harden you. But still, she finds a way to be playful and to be fun and not take any moment for granted. I think the depth of that element of her character, people didn't really know until Rebirth. Because in Remake, you're still getting to know her and she doesn't necessarily know Cloud and she likes him. Of course, she's interested, of course, but that relationship takes time to develop. And then you get the chance to kind of crack open Aerith in Rebirth and see that she does have a dark side because she's been through very hard times. But what's beautiful about her character is she doesn't let it overwhelm her and she doesn't let it affect the way she lives her life. And I think the depth of that complexity is maybe something that a lot of people don't understand.
Absolutely. Would you say that there are any, I guess, lessons would maybe be the right word, or even has playing Aerith taught you anything about yourself aside from the ability to do voice work?
Yes. Besides that very big thing, Aerith as a character doesn't sink into despair ever. And that is something that I've absolutely taken a lesson from because I'm a very emotional person. I'm an actress, surprise, surprise. And so when things happen to me that are sad or unfortunate, I do have a tendency to kind of ruminate and, oh, well, why did this happen to me? And, why this, why that, why me? Aerith doesn't do that, not for a moment. And so that is absolutely something that I take from her as a lesson, because it's all going to be okay. And that reminder in her character is really beautiful. It's lovely that I get to be surrounded with reminders like that because of my work with her. Some of her most iconic quotes I get to write on prints at a convention, even though I'm tired and exhausted and tired of traveling. I get to write things like, gotta look forward, not back, or so focus on the future, not the past. And even like, true strength comes from our ability to forgive. Things like that. Like, she's just such a great character to be able to look to for guidance when you're
That's so
struggling.
beautiful, because I know Aerith is, you probably know this term, she's a comfort character for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people just connect to her to find comfort because of so many of those lines. And like you said, she never falls into despair. And I think it sounds like she kind of became that for you as well, which is so special to feel that way toward a character that you also get to portray. That just must feel so lovely.
I love her.
How can you not?
I love her. Like, she's a part of me. Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
And whenever,
especially as your first voice role, that's
seriously
a huge part.
Big time. I think I understand, the Final Fantasy fandom, they love these characters. They are so passionate. And sometimes that can veer into a little bit of like, we're going to argue about things. But I understand where that comes from, because they care about these characters and it becomes a part of them too. I get that because I'm going through it too.
Absolutely. Did Aerith being your first role in VA help you discover a new passion? Is it something that you would like to do a lot more in the future?
Yes, absolutely. I find it so uniquely challenging to be able to act and convey emotion and tell a story using only one tool compared to, TV and film, where you can use your entire body to tell a story, or, just your eyes. It's very different. And I love the challenge. I truly do. And there are still elements of voice acting that I'm not seasoned in. So localization is a very specific voice acting segment. It is a translation from a different language, and they do it first, and then we hear that, and then we give our version of it, and tell the story through an American lens, through an English speaking lens. And so that's a very unique portion of voice acting, but I would love the opportunity to do voice acting that's a little bit more free and craft a character all on my own and do motion capture. All of those things they're on my to-do list one day.
You mentioned you like games. Is there a game franchise that you would love to work on?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Can I name all of them?
As many as you want to give me.
Golly, it would be a dream to work in a Legend of Zelda game. It would be a dream to work, honestly, on a Diablo game. Diablo, I played a lot of D2 back in the day. I love the Uncharted series with a deep, deep passion. So anything Uncharted, who knows if there's another Uncharted, whatever. But there is an Uncharted movie, so would love to be a part of that in some way. I mean, you can't mention Uncharted without mentioning The Last of Us, of course. And Life is Strange is really special to me. I would love to be a part of Life is Strange. And two of my friends are Life is Strange voice actors too. So like that would be really fun to work with them. Mass Effect, I love. Dragon Age Veilguard just came out. I love the Dragon Age series. Inquisition's one of my like top 5 favorite games. I would love to be a part of a BioWare game. Oh man. The list goes on.
Dream, right? Oh. They're just so wonderful.
They really
Well,
are.
one game that has definitely been on the rumor mill, and this will be our last question, and I know you maybe not be able to answer this, but we'll see. So there's rumors swirling that Square is going to look at Final Fantasy IX as a remake in the future.
Oh.
If that game does end up being remade, would you have any interest in tackling the portrayal of any of those characters? We were thinking like Princess Garnet or Freya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't know anything. I barely know anything about my own project, let alone anything else that other departments are working on. Trust me.
Such is the way in the video game world.
Exactly. Everything is kept super, super top secret. But if they were to honestly remake any of the other Final Fantasies and they called me, how could I say no?
I will be there.
Right, exactly. I mean, acting is still such a competitive, difficult industry. And if work calls, I'm there, you know. There are very few jobs that I would say no to at this point. Because, you know, I'm still starting out and I really want to work more. I love what I do and I want to do it more. So yeah, if they remade any of the other Final Fantasies, yes.
Give me a call.
I'm in.
Yeah. Square, if you're listening to give Briana a call.
They might be. They usually do check in on the things that I do.
Well, this is it. We're directly asking.
Square
Thank
Enix.
you so much for joining us today. It was really a pleasure to speak with you.
You too.
Thank you. As always, to the viewers on the other side of the screen, thank you for watching, and please hit those like and subscribe buttons, as always, for more content from Above the Table in the future.